Euromeeting is an event planned by the Department of Culture of the Municipality of Concordia with some other municipalities of the North Area Associations of Modena and with the contribution of Provincia di Modena, Regione Emilia-Romagna and European Union. On Friday 27th July, all the participants came to Mirandola from Hungary, Poland, Slovakia and Italy. The local authorities' welcome was given in a positive atmosphere. The Mayor of San Possidonio, the Vice Mayor of Concordia and the Councillor for Young People Education of Mirandola wished to the participants a good stay in Italy, the concrete opportunity to enjoy and share friendship, but also ideas, solutions, new viewpoints. A good pizza ended joyfully the first day of Euromeeting.
If you wanna be happy for the rest of your life, never make a pretty one for your wife. So for my personal point of view, get an ugly girl to marry you. A pretty woman makes a husband look small, and very often causes his downfall. As soon as he marries her, then she starts the things that will break his heart.
The trip to Florence got a great success because of Florence's everlasting charm. Its late medieval and Renaissance architectural and artistic mix is a symbol for its political and cultural importance for European history. The participants were hosted in the North Area towns for 2 days. After the trip to Florence, the group were carried to Bosco Chiesanuova on the mountains, where it lived during the next days till the end of Euromeeting. Bosco Chiesanuova is in Lessigna Alps, in a northern Italian region called Veneto. This area is a land of magic, thanks to its quiet villages, meadows, woods and pastures, with old hamlets and enchanted rocks. The project, co-financed by the European Union Cultural Direction, is born to make young people aware about themes such as volunteer actions, active citizenship, international cooperation. Most of all, Euromeeting is an opportunity to create a net of friendship among people coming from different countries. The Youth Association Your Hope gave its cooperation to the managing of Euromeeting 2001. The Newborn Association's main goal is to spread an European awareness among young people, and its members are basically those boys and girls who took part to Euromeeting previous editions. Following Euromeeting tradition, in the first evening in Bosco Chiesanuova, the delegates were invited to introduce themselves and their countries by a little typical song and by some traditional food and drinks. Singing, eating, drinking and dancing together was the first real ice-breaking among the participants.
Pędzimy razem z
Francesco Meneghetti from Caritas Italiana has introduced the first session about development. One of the key concepts of his introduction is that of poverty, which denies people vital choices. Many poor people today simply struggle to survive and are not able to build a welfare. Francesco has focused on a key word of today's cultural debates, globalization. It is a process of increasing relationships among people, social groups, companies and countries. The quality of technological, economic and political changes which have brought people closer together have also generated serious consequences. While globalization has led to benefits for some people, it has not led to benefits for everybody. The exclusion of some parts of the world to it might be a reason for this. True development is not just an economic one. For a sustainable and fair welfare all over the world, each country and each social class should participate to the world strategies for progress. They should take part in empowerment, which means to develop everyone's abilities. This process aims not only to the decrease of disease areas and social classes, but also to the direct participation of everyone to choices, not just to economic ones. But how would it be possible to make this kind of shared development true? How could it be rooted into steady ground and not just ephemeral? Sustainable economy must be based on commonly shared choices. But at last, people from the south of the world have to decide by themselves. They will have to guide and to control their own development. Poverty is not just a question of money. It is also an access problem. Access means the opportunity to use the basic rights of food, clothes and shelter, education, proper health care, clean water, rights which most of us take for granted. This was the main point of the next day session. Francesco showed a new concept of poverty by Amartya Sen, who considers it as marginalization in a wider sense than the economic one. Poverty is a matter of freedom, which is not measurable by the traditional statistical indicators, that is, for example, earned incomes, living standards, and so on. True poverty is deprivation, the lack of opportunities both for individuals and for a whole society. Inequalities might concern just some cultural aspects, which could also affect economic areas, such as sexual, race, or religion differences. To acknowledge everyone's rights and personal dignity is the best way to fight against poverty as deprivation. In our Illuministic and Western countries, this means right to active citizenship, to be equal in the social community, to be able to give personal contribution to human development. On a wonderful sunny day, most of the boys and girls took their best equipment for an all-day-long trip on Lessinia Mountains. To tell the truth, some of them decided to follow a softer and shorter way in the Green Valley, while a smaller group dared to follow a small rocky path passing through the forest. Some of them climbed up to the top of the highest mountain, where a typical shelter received them. The huge problem of child labor has been shown by Paolo Locatelli, the national head of Global March belonging to Manitese Association. Some countries, especially in Asia, are economically growing by using children labor or imposing inhuman work conditions to adults too. This is the so-called social dumping, having strong bonds with unfair competition and violation of rules, which have been established in the northern part of the world during at least 2 centuries. What could we do? Thinking that these countries couldn't have any other alternative would mean giving them no help. A true cooperation for making their productive process less inhuman and economically sustainable is hoped for. For people, living conditions would be improved. They shouldn't be submitted to no master anymore. The Global March Against Child Labor is a worldwide movement whose goal is to mobilize international efforts to protect and promote the rights of all children, especially the rights to get a free, meaningful education and to be free from economic exploitation and from performing any work that is likely to be damaging their physical, mental, spiritual, moral, or social development. After a common theoretical moment, the guys divided themselves in national groups, which had to show the main social troubles in their own country. Child labor is self-defeating. If a child cannot study, then the cycle of poverty will be repeated, and he will never be able to get out of a slum or improve the society which he lives in. Filippo Ganapini from Course Foundation made us reflect about one possible solution to the question of economic underdevelopment, that is, microcredit. He stressed that a very fast growth of a country economy is not respectful of some basic rules of human development, which need time, patience, cooperation. Maybe globalization creates great and immediate progress, but too much sacrifice for someone. Everybody should share a common pattern of development, founded just on industrial ground. Are there opportunities for different experiences or points of view? Stronger and faster relationships among countries are now impossible to stop, but there could be a fairer and more human way to answer to the needs of the poor ones. Microcredit refers to making small loans available to the poor through projects especially designed to meet the poor's particular needs and circumstances. A lot of projects have shown that microcredits can make a significant contribution for tackling poverty, chiefly in those countries which are slowly developing. The most famous microcredit institution is the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh, which provides groups of up to 5 people with loans of $50 or less in the first instance. The last session held by Simona Melli and Valerio Ferrarini was about the Charter of Fundamental Rights and about the Treaty of Schengen. The enlargement of European Union toward the eastern countries was especially analyzed. After a theoretical moment, the boys and girls were divided in national groups to think about some unsolved questions about the opening of European Union to its boundaries. This year, the Euro boys and girls could divide into 5 groups to follow the workshops: photography, news and reportage, art and recycling, Latino dance, and conflict mediation. In the last funny night party, people showed what they had learned and made during workshops time.
I was the expert on the workshop on conflict mediation. During the workshop, we work on managing mediation between two people, or between two groups, or between nations. And so we work on international conflict. During the workshop, we play game, we play rule, and we make conflict simulation. So the participants were engaged in the action of real conflict. And then the workshop work on not resolve the conflict, but on managing the conflict to transform and to change the cause or the reason of the conflict. And for this, the participants learn to feel the emotion of the disputants and to feel the emotions such as fear, frustration, jealousy, and happiness. This was very important because the conflict are a stopped dialogue, a stop of communication. And to solve or to transform a conflict situation is very important to begin again to speak each other. And so this is the fundamental of this kind of workshop here in the Euromeeting.
My workshop is about art and recycling. During my workshop, we made some objects with simple materials, such as string, tiles, shoeboxes, papers, cans. These objects are very simple to create, but they become nice if you use our fantasy and imagination. The objects show our soul.
In my workshop, I teach some basic step of salsa, the most important, I think, Caribbean dance of the world. In my workshop, I teach some basic step of salsa, and I have taught some shape of some figures from the basic step of this kind of dance. This night we have a little show for present this step, and I hope he can great for this night.
1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. Open 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7.
The aim of the photographic workshop in the Euromeeting 2001 was, first of all, to try to find the images that are within us. For doing that, we have worked mainly on 3 themes. The first theme was linked to the meeting of to the global meeting, to the theme of the meeting, and it was globalization. We have tried to find out brands, behaviors that could be defined as globalized, and to take the picture that will represent them. Secondly, we worked on what is around us. That means the place, the people, and the mountains and the town. That is not really Bosco Chiesanuova, but not San Giorgio, because it's not really a town, it's more some houses. And this was what we have devoted a couple of days of shooting. Moreover, we have talked together about the different techniques, the different capabilities of using the machine, and so on and so forth. And this, let's say, we will try to make it common, choosing critically the images that we have done and putting them together in a kind of a show that we will show during the closing phase tonight. Thank you.
The objective of the workshop News and Reportage was to create a television news about the Euromeeting in a formulation that was the same as in the real television news. Another aim was to understand how is it possible to manipulate facts and what kind of power people who controls mass media have. Our work methodology was to live directly the true life of a true editorial staff. Every day, first we had to decide which could be the more important events of the previous day. Then we divided ourselves in two groups. One wrote the articles and the other made interviews with video camera and microphone. At the end, we gathered in our editorial office in order to edit. Firstly, the audio track was recorded, then the interviews, finally the images covering. We made experience of the great job upon which is based a seemingly simple news. We have experienced the time required for editing and assembling, the role of the voice, the musical choices, the rhythm needed for casting, etc. In the box below, you can see some scenes of the final product. The final assembly consisted of alternate the talking head to the several other services. At the end, the television news lasted half an hour, which is exactly the lasting of a true TG.
Reflection and debate about European themes were treated not only through traditional sessions, but also through funny games such as a treasure hunt.
Said from Morocco. So, Said, what do you think about the food here?
Tutte palette.
Tutti paletti. Alles banane, he wanted to say. Perfect.
Euromeeting 2001 has still revealed itself as a confrontation and growth for the young participants toward a common European consciousness. We think that all the objectives we have planned have been joined, especially on the eve of Euro money brought and in the perspective of the enlargement of Europe toward Eastern countries. That's why the participation of young people from the East is so relevant. This positive experience is the starting point for planning the next Euromeetings edition. Goodbye and see you next year.
right. No, I think it's enough.